Surf Tech channel. I'm your host, James Margettis. On today's episode, we're going to go in depth and bring you all the information on the 3 new speed generating fins from Future Fins. Huge thanks to Eastern Line Surf Shop for getting us on these fins. Thank you to Aubrey Futures Rep, Futures Fins, for coming up with these amazing fins. We really love these. We have the Vector 3.2 Alphas. We have the John VAPORCORE Scimitars, and we have the Reverse 3.2 Alphas. Today we're going to start with the Vector 3.2 Alphas. These are a speed generating fin. I have them in the large. They are a little bit more raked than the John Scimitars. They start with the Vector foil at the base, and then it comes up and it changes the degree of cant at the top, giving it that crazy little bend out the back. This is a new take on an old design, and they disappeared and then they came back. And I was telling the Futures rep that I really think that those fins, when they came out with them in the early 2000s, they were so ahead of their time. They really didn't jive with the high performance shortboards of that era. And now with the boards going shorter, wider, fishes, stuff like that, these fins are amazing in these shorter, wider, flatter boards. Like, they really complement boards like that, both of these. These fins are super loose, super fun in small waves. They generate a ton of speed. The best way I could explain it is every time you're pushing off of either rail, they just generate and flow really well. They loosen up small wave boards. They loosen up your high performance boards in small waves. I had the pleasure of riding these in the Firewire mashup for the first time, and it was awesome. I rode it in like waist high, knee high, and had a blast. Would highly recommend these fins in that board. And then just to change it, to try them in a different board, I rode them in the Happy Everyday from Channel Islands. And in that, also same conditions, wind slop, wind swell, very weak conditions, and was able to link some maneuvers together and have a lot of fun. Highly recommend these fins. It's a great fin. They'll definitely liven up any of your boards, and I highly recommend them. I would ride these in a performance fish, Paizel Gremlin, Firewire mashup, Channel Islands pod mod, any type board like that. I'd ride them in your grovel type short boards, your Dumpster Diver 2s, Happy Everyday, Sub Driver 2. Definitely ride these fins. Boards I would not throw these in a high performance short board, just because that's not the feeling that I go for in that type of board. I wouldn't throw them in a CI Pro or a 2-point Pro. I would also ride them as a quad set. They do now come as a 5-fin set. In both medium and large. I did not have the luxury of getting them in the 5-fin set, so I had my generic Futures quad rears. These are small. Tried these in a couple different boards as a quad. With these 2 fronts and these rears, these are, like I said, small, medium rear, and loved it. Speed generation felt just like the thruster, but did not have the pivot stability that a thruster has. It was more loose and responsive in the back, which I do tend to like quads in certain conditions. I like quads sometimes when it's smaller, as well as if it's really hollow, I like quads with a little bit extra hold. So these worked well as a quad. In the Gremlin, in the mashup, any type board like that, definitely go for a quad. The next fin we're going to talk about is the John Scimitar and the VAPORCORE. These fins are incredible. They're extremely lightweight. They are more expensive than the other colleagues in this range from Futures in that VAPORCORE technology. The Vector 3.2 has a little bit more rake to it. These are a little bit more upright, similar to what the John Tech Flex is. They do not have the changing cant towards the tip, but they do have the Vector profile, and they have the Scimitar tip similar to these, the cutoff tip. These fins are incredible as well. The first time I saw them was probably in September when they came out, and Kai Barton had them in a high performance shortboard that he was riding in small conditions up here at the Belmar Pro. Started talking to him about these, and he was ranting and raving on these, how good of a fin they were. So as soon as I talked to him on these, I went and got myself a set and tried them in the Paizel Gremlin. And this fin, this board combo were hands down like one of the best I've ridden in a long time. Super fast, super loose. So I would say these are more loose than these are. These definitely have a little bit more control, but the speed generation is definitely there. These, if you like traditional feeling fins, but you want speed generating fins similar to the Black Sticks, I would get these. The speed generation was next to none. I mean, as soon as you stand up and get up and go, they just take off under your feet and project you forward. As do all three of these fins. They just have that immediate get up and go. I also rode these in the Lost Subdriver 2.0. That board and myself, we have a love-hate relationship. I've never really had a magic day on that board where I was like, oh, this board's great. So, you know, you always want to change it up, never rule everything out. So I was not liking that board at all, and I threw these in on a knee-high day and had a blast. I was able to link turns together, generate speed. The board felt great. It felt familiar, felt what I would like, you know, what I like in a board, which I was not feeling on that board at all. That just goes to show that fins will change the way a board feels, and if you don't like a board right away, have a couple different sets of fins that you might like to try in that board. Highly recommend these fins in performance fish, such as a Gremlin, Pod Mod, any type of board like that. Also, highly recommend them in your gravel type short boards, Dumpster Diver 2, Happy Every Day, Lost Subdriver 2. Also would recommend them in your high performance short board in smaller conditions or weaker conditions. I do feel that these fins, especially, they have a larger center fin as well. The center fin is pretty large. I do feel that they will hold in more serious conditions, bigger surf, but I would still keep them for if it was bigger, weaker surf, bigger open face waves at your wrapping turns. I would definitely ride these in. I also rode the John Scimitars as quads with the two sides as the front, medium small rears, and these also went great. Kind of the same feeling, so I rode them as a quad in my Paizel Gremlin in very small, bleak conditions, and it went awesome. I actually have a Pod Mod, and I used to ride that only as a quad, and it really brought me back to a very similar feeling to that board. Our last and final fin that we're going to go over is the Reverse 3-2 Twin Plus 1 set. It's a Twin Plus trailer. These are definitely smaller front fins as a twin set. I rode them in the Paizel Gremlin, and I've been experimenting with that board as a 2+1 and really loved it as a 2+1. I love the drive that you get, love the pivot. The cons of surfing that as a 2+1, you can't push that hard. But that's also a pro if you don't like to surf that hard and you're not comfortable pushing really hard off the back foot. Tons of speed, tons of flow. You don't have to throw a lot into your maneuvers, but can still get up there and turn. It turns very loose. These fins are super loose as a 2+1. I loved it. Speed generation was there, just like their brothers in the tri-fin set. The get up and go speed, as soon as you stand up, it generates speed right away. Rode them in conditions from knee high to head high and really loved them. Once it got like head high with a little bit of push, I felt myself nursing my turns a little bit more than I would if I had had these in, or a regular thruster set, or even a regular 2+1 with bigger side fins. I had just had to nurse it a little bit more, but everything else, they were amazing fins. Very good speed generation. Like I said, very loose, good pivot. Someone did ask if they were the best Twin Plus 1 set I've ever rode. My reply to that is, in conditions 1 to 3 foot where you need extra speed, yes. I would say 100% conditions 1 to 3 foot need extra speed. These are probably the best 2+1 set that I've ever ridden. I also don't ride a lot of 2+1s, but I would highly recommend them. So to debunk, I was like, all right, well, would they work just as a straight twin set? And I put them in the free scrubber from Channel Islands. Now this board I haven't had a ton of experience on, but all the conditions I wrote it, I felt like it needs a little bit better of a wave, a more powerful wave to really come alive. It's a great board, phenomenal board, but definitely needs a little bit more push. The tail is kind of pulled in. So I was like, if there's any board to try them in, it would be the free scrubber. So I put them in as a twin in the free scrubber in knee-high conditions. And the response, the get up and go was there. The speed generation was there. It made that board feel like a true high-performance graveler, definitely. And it was really refreshing. They were, like I said, really loose. So when you ended up pushing really hard, board tended to slide a little bit. But, you know, if you're just looking to have fun in knee-high conditions, I would put them in as a twin in a board with a little bit more pulled-in tail, and the feeling is great. Thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, you can jam down here and subscribe to the channel. We loved all three of these fins from Futures. We love what they're doing.